Stan and I have always discussed adoption many years ago, but life became busy. We then had 4 biological children of our own. I'm a stay-at-home mom. He is a deputy sheriff, and adoption just was put on the back burner. Until 2014, the Lord made very clear that there was a little girl in the Philippines that we were to adopt. So we brought home Micaela just 2 years later. And then in 2018, we brought home little Isabel from China. And we are currently in our 3rd adoption process of a little 3-year-old little girl in China. Her name is Lily Grace. And we are super anxious to bring her home and add her to our family.
You know, in our family, we already had 4 kids and we live off of one income. So we really didn't have the money to step out in adoption. But when God called us to it, we pretty much put it back on God and said, listen, you're going to have to raise these funds for us. And so he did.
I think whenever you go into adoption, especially when you look at the financial aspect, it's very overwhelming. For us, the Lord did not want us to have all the answers and didn't want us to have it mapped out on how this was going to work. He essentially was just wanting us to say yes to his calling for our family, and so we did that, and we essentially put it back on his shoulders to kind of provide and lead us. And we felt that the Lord was leading us in wanting us just to share our adoption journey, the good, the bad, the ugly. We shared it on social media, and through strangers, friends, and family, he abundantly provided for all of our adoptions. I think one thing that very much surprised me was, and I will get emotional speaking about this, is the impact that our one yes back in 2014 when we chose to adopt Micaela and we chose to set out on this journey God placed before us, was the impact that it would have on so many other people around the world, friends close to us. It has encouraged others to pursue adoption. And for me, that is something that I did not see coming, because I think when you're in the moment, you're so fixated on your family and how are all the logistics going to work out that you kind of stop. You don't take time to stop and realize that God has this huge picture, and knowing that the picture is so much grander than you can ever imagine.
I think for me, what surprised me was the bond that is created or developed with a child that is not your biological child. That was one of the things that I worried about. Would I be able to love and bond with a child that was not biologically mine? And it blew my mind. With Micaela, the bond literally happened instantly. With Isabel, it was a little slower, but I thought that was something that is very neat, how God works that in your family.
And how much our biological children immediately bonded and attached to both of them and just protected and loved them unconditionally.
That's right.
One piece of advice that I believe we both would agree that we would want to give a family who's pursuing adoption is to truly step out in faith, knowing you are not going to have all the answers, you are not going to understand how all of this is going to play out, but essentially it's you throwing your hands up and surrendering to Christ and saying, we are going to say yes to your calling. I need you to show us the way. And he absolutely will show you the way. He will provide abundantly. I feel like if you can get to the point where you understand that adoption is not about you or your family, your financial status, what your life looks like, what your comfortable little zone looks like, and see that adoption is about serving Christ and finding ways that we can live our life to glorify God, then that yes to adoption will just be a resounding yes.
And we found that our life is but a vapor here on earth. And, if it doesn't matter for eternity, it doesn't really matter. And we found that adoption does matter for eternity. And this is something that does glorify our God.